really positively to art because art is not a linear narrative. Art doesn't tell you what to think. When you're interacting with art, it's a moment for you to connect with the story.
There's a long history of this particular kind of printmaking, woodcut printmaking, being used to promote social change. Particularly in Mexico during the Mexican Revolution, woodcuts were used to disseminate information to the masses, to change public policy and promote social change.
The issue of migration matters to me because my parents are migrants and many members of my family and my friends have suffered because of broken immigration laws. We haven't had immigration reform in over a quarter of a century in this country, and there are over 1,100 deportations every single day. And these are people that we know, that we love, our brothers, our sisters, our fathers, our mothers, our friends, our neighbors. It's very important to activate the power of art and the voice of artists in order to change people's minds around this issue, and also to offer something new. You know, not to regurgitate the same old message you hear on TV, but to offer another way of looking at the world.
A lot of the times in the media, all you see is either the person crossing the border, and then there's this whole like, oh, immigrants are coming into this country, you know, as opposed to like showing the good that immigrants bring. It's important to leave a documentation behind of the immigrant experience.
In our printmaking program here at Syracuse University, our students do learn the history of printmaking in all different mediums: intaglio, lithography, woodcut, serigraphy, digital printmaking. And this is actually a first-hand experience for them to see how woodcut has been used traditionally and is still used today to promote social change. For the past 7 years, we've been running a Steamroller event on Syracuse University's main campus. Our students carve large 3x7 foot woodblocks and use a steamroller as a press. Here in the printmaking program, we're interested in finding ways to connect our students to professional working artists. We also love helping to create projects that allow them to work side by side with artists on a national and international level, in an arena beyond the classroom. In the spring of 2014, Professor Dusty Herbig and I and a group of 9 graduate and undergraduate students flew out to San Francisco to set up a pop-up steamroller print shop for an event called Carving Through Borders. The objective was to collaborate with artist Fabiana Rodriguez and her organization, CultureStrike, in helping immigrant artists to generate new, highly visible and powerful content. I first met Fabiana Rodriguez when she came to Syracuse as a visiting artist. She had an exhibition at a local gallery, and I was really intrigued by her work and her mission. I learned that she worked with a whole team of artists who traveled around the country protesting anti-immigration legislation with the goal of changing policy, and realized that we had the tools to help them create huge banners to amplify their message.
I really, in particular, like the way they work with oversized printmaking and how they studied printmaking through a historical lens.
Before there were photocopy machines, there were blocks of wood. An artist could carve an image or text into the block, roll the surface with ink, put a piece of paper on top, rub the back of the paper with a wooden spoon, and voila, create a poster. And it could be done again and again.
To be able to go back to that medium as somebody who was born in Mexico, it was just an amazing experience.
In every historical movement in the world, art has played a very important role, and today is no exception to that.
We began talking almost a year ago about having this event in San Francisco in the spring.
So we went to San Francisco and we set up like small pop-up print shop.
Carving Through Borders is super important, especially during a conference like the Southern Graphic Council International.
It was nice to see people print, I guess, at a print conference. And I really enjoyed just like the amount of energy, I guess, that was in the room from having that many people in the area.
Fabiana selected 15 artists, many of whom were undocumented, to participate in the event. In December, we taught them how to carve their wood blocks, after which they had several months to prepare.
Our mission is to show the stories of migration, show what happens when people are deported, challenge the narrative of the border, talk about what it means to be undocumented and to be queer, just different storylines around the migrant experience.
I think this piece is universal in a way, so it does talk about the struggle as an immigrant.
I wanted to really represent being native, being indigenous from this continent.
It was playing off the word justice and the meaning of the just, how relevant it is to the struggle as a whole. It's a uniting word in relationship to all the diversity, in relationship to the human rights violations across the board.
Fearless Kiss of Separation is the name of my art piece. It has to do with immigrant families crossing the border and pretty much making that fearless move. Oftentimes when they make that fearless move, they do have to separate, as many deportations have been going on lately.
I don't consider myself an activist, but I have done actions and put myself in deportation. I myself am undocumented. I think it's an amazing idea of gathering artists around the country and sort of for this cause of like pro-immigrant work.
This whole process in general, I thought it was pretty important to our culture right now, and I felt very honored that they would let us take part in their political reform.
I knew I was a small part in something that was so large, and to see all of the artists' passion was so amazing to be a part of. I felt so powerful, I felt so strong.
Putting on a production in San Francisco all the way across the country was a big challenge to get all of the minutia of supplies and inks and rollers and the artists organized. It was a huge undertaking. One of the amazing experiences that the students get in this project is that they actually have to set up the whole studio themselves on location.
It takes an entire team to make a piece of art. A person driving the steamroller, a group inking the blocks, and another group with clean hands putting down the cloth.
There's a thing that happens where you kind of sync up mentally. There's a lot of nonverbal communication, a lot of looks, just knowing exactly when a board is going to be taken away or when it's going to be placed down to be printed. Once we were done inking the block and we'd lay it down, there'd be another group of people in charge of taking over the fabric, laying it down, holding it down. We would see Dusty roll over the block and print it. The other team would pull it up, and then right then we would have to be there to pick up the block, take it away, bring the next block over.
This is my first time actually seeing and being part of a steamrolling printing.
The steamroller printing part, that's awesome. To be honest with you, I've never seen that before until this year, and I'm honored and pleased that I was part of it.
Just the whole project itself being a 7-foot oversized woodcut and then printing it on a steamroller, it draws more attention to not just what it is, but how it's made as well.
By supplying the artists with tools for carving large blocks, building a print shop on the street, and printing with the steamroller, many artists were given a rare chance to create large-scale prints. This was a unique opportunity for my students to be aware of these issues and become a part of the movement. I was so pleased with the enthusiasm and optimism they brought to the event. Despite many challenges, pouring rain and freezing temperatures, they had such great spirit and energy. They were continually problem solving.
Syracuse is awesome.
I think they're amazing what they're doing. I wish there were more opportunities and events like this.
I think it's great to reach people who not only are allies in your cause, but can also take the work that you make here and expand it to a broader audience. So I think it's a lovely collaboration.
These 9 students were able to engage in an activity that is bigger than their own studio practice, to work with artists who have a different agenda than their own personal work. I think this kind of learning doesn't really happen inside the classroom in the same way. Here, everyone is so engaged, sweating, smiling, focused, working hard. The artists are so thrilled to have their blocks printed, and I think it's a great feeling for my students to have that collaboration occur. It has been an empowering experience for everyone involved.
I think that the students really came back to campus feeling that they're a part of something.
It kept me excited about what I'm doing, and it was refreshing to see.
And now I feel that they are a part of a family and a community that spans from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast now.
This is actually clean for Steamroller. Usually it's literally up to my armpits and like coming out of my nose.